How you going, guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. For today's job, we're getting back onto the Franna crane project and we're going to be building our new engine cover. So if you remember when we disassembled the crane, the engine cover was in very bad condition and it wasn't worthwhile putting any time into trying to salvage it. And the new engine cover doesn't look anything like the original one. It was actually inspired off the Mac 25, which is what my crane wants to be when it grows up. So we have seen your comments and we know you guys want to have more Franna crane videos, and I really want to complete it as well. But we do have a business to run, and because the crane is a project, it's not a priority. But we have been doing a lot behind the scenes. We are trying to source components for the fit out. It has been quite challenging because there's not many parts available and we don't have a great deal to choose from, which means some of them we're going to have to make. We've also been finalising the design and the fitment of the front and rear tail lights, working out the entire hydraulic system and our wiring. And something else I also ticked off the list was welding out the rear frame. To weld this out, I'm using our Lincoln SpeedTech 500. This is a multi-process machine and it also has a pulse function, which is the main reason we purchased this, because it is fantastic for welding up large diameter barrels and cylinder rods. But I wanted to give the pulse a run on mild steel and see how it goes. So I'm going to start with sealing off our new top sheets, and I'm going to start in the top of the engine bay. So that's not working as well as I want it to. I would say that is because it is old material, it has a little bit of surface rust on it, and there is also paint. So I'm going to turn off the pulse and go back to standard MIG welding. Welding with pulse definitely has a lower heat input to the job, and it also gives you less weld spatter. But on this sort of application, it doesn't really matter. It was just interesting to see how it went on a different material. So with the inside and the outside of the top sheets fully welded, I'm going to weld around the rest of the components on top. So I've done one pass around the entire top deck and completely sealed it. Now I'm going to weld up the corner plates in the wheel arches. Now I'm going to weld out the compartment for the battery box. Now all that's left to weld out is the other compartment, and that'll be used for storage. So that's the majority of the welding completed on our rear frame, but I'm not going to grind it yet because there's still more fabrication to do. So that's where we're up to with our Franna crane project. Now we're going to get on to building the engine cover.
Where is it? Go find it. No, hey. Hey, that ain't it. What's that? All right, come on, come on. Go. Where's your pig gone? Where you've left it behind? I don't have it. Go find it. Go find it. Over there. Where you left it. Go get it. Good boy.
So we've got a pallet of laser cut and pressed 2mm sheet. We're going to get that unwrapped and make sure everything's here. I get Troy to draw up the design in SolidWorks, and then we send a cut file to our metal supplier who turn it into this. So when we are designing parts, especially for our own projects, we do consider the standard sheet size of material that is available. This 2mm sheet from our supplier comes in a standard size of 1.5 by 3 meters. Originally this was going to be about 20mm taller, but that would have meant an extra sheet of material. So by making a small change to the design, we managed to keep this in 2 sheets, not 3. So we've got all the parts and everything looks exactly how it should, so we're going to get on to tacking this together.
Where's them things?
Okay, I'm going to point this out for people. So I do have many pairs of these welding nozzle pliers. Unfortunately, they don't work very well with the Bernard centerfire consumables. That's why I just use side cutters. Comes out a lot cleaner. So this large sheet is the main part and it covers up pretty much the entire engine. Because this is only 2mm material, we do have a stiffening rib and that helps hold it in shape and stop it from flexing. So I'm just going to tack that in. Now we're going to tack on the side sheets. Because they couldn't perform that fold detail, we've had to get it cut in 2 pieces and tack them on. Because of the taper down to a point on this part of the sheet, they had to leave a tab in order to press it, and we will cut that off before we weld it out. Now we're going to move on to the rear part of the cover. We were able to get that cut out of one piece, and these cutouts are for an air vent that allows airflow through the engine bay, and we've also had our logo cut into it. They did have to do a jack bend through that fold line in order to get it to fold into shape, and all we need to do is tack the edges. Now we're going to flip it over and tack in the stiffening rib for this one. So while I was tacking that together and hammering on it, I did notice there was a fair bit of wobble in the lines in the grill. Unfortunately, it's one of those things we can't really do a great deal about because we have changed the design of the cooling system in the back of the crane, and we needed maximum airflow. That's why the gaps are the size they are. Something we might look at doing is sticking a stainless steel mesh to the back of it, and that'll just help stiffen it up. So everything's fitting together pretty good so far. Now we're going to flip them over so we can tack together these two halves. So now you can really see what our engine cover looks like. Sitting on the bench, it does look like it's pretty big, but once it's on the rear frame, everything will look in proportion. Something I'm not too sure about is leaving these cutouts open for airflow on the sides of the bonnet. It does look a little bit different in person than it does on the 3D drawing, so I'm not sure if we're going to leave it like that or we get a piece of material to cover it up. But we'd love to know what you think, so leave a comment as to what you think we should do.
Oh, there we go. Ah. There we go. Trusty tool.
Now with that done, before I move it, I'm going to add some extra tacks to hold it together. Now we've got one more part to tack together, and that will be the access cover for the transmission. What's going on there?
Why is that like 5 mil shorter?
Righto, so we were going really well, but now I've discovered we have a small problem. We have a discrepancy between the transmission cover and the engine cover. So there is actually 5mm in height that we are missing off the transmission cover, and in order to bring those two surfaces into alignment, we would have to move the transmission cover forward about 25mm. Ideally, I would generally allow about 5mm. That way, when the machine's running, the two bonnets don't touch each other. So that gap is just far too big. Part of the design, I still do need to add a piece of flat bar that goes around the inside of the engine cover. So when the transmission cover goes over the top, it holds it in place. Whether the measurements or the allowances for that have contributed to this problem, I'm not totally sure. So I'm not really sure what the solution is just yet, but next thing I'm going to do is put this on the rear end so we can have a good look at it and see if there's anything else we need to change. So apart from the discrepancy between the two covers, I'm really happy with the overall look and the way everything fits. We have enough clearance around the engine for the radiator, the intercooler and the oil coolers. The angles match really nicely with the frame, and this is definitely an improvement from the original engine cover. But something else I've realized, we are actually missing another piece of material, and that goes on the front of the transmission cover to finish covering that area off, and it is used to hinge it out of the way. And we couldn't make this any longer because when the boom is all the way up, the winch is in this area and we need clearance for that. And that is also the reason why this is two-piece and not a single cover. Because of the clearance issues with the winch, we wouldn't be able to open it. And after having a good look at it, I think the best solution for our problem is to redraw this part and have it recut. Because it's less than $100, it's not really worthwhile spending any time trying to modify it. So there is still a lot that we need to do to this. We need to make the hinges and get them fitted before fully welding it out. We also need to install the gas struts to help lift the engine cover up out of the way. And something else we'll be doing after it's painted is fitting a rubber seal between these two surfaces around the entire perimeter to stop it from rubbing and vibrating. But that's as far as we can go today until we get our new piece of material ordered and the piece we're missing, and we work out what we're doing with the cutouts on the side. You'll have to stay tuned for the next Franna video. Thanks for watching.
Oh, it looks like a Star Wars thing, like fighter jet.
But I'm not going to grind it yet. We do try to incorporate. Oh, fuck me, I'm starting to fuck up words. Now what we're going to do is flip them. That wasn't even a word. Now we've got one more part to tack together, and that will be, what did we call it? Access?
Cover.
Cover, right. Now we've got one more part to tack together, and that will be the access cover for the track. Oh, I bit my tongue. God, that hurt so bad. So after having a good, right, and after having a good look at this, I think the, oh, fuck me, I did it again.
And?
I get Troy to draw up the
Curtis's favourite thing. Duh. What is that thudding? What is he doing? What's he doing with the digger? Giving us more work. Oh, he's still Curtis has figured something out.
He's trying to get his fucking bucket off. He doesn't know how to work the quick hitch.
You reckon?
Yep. Yep.
Nah.
No, 100%. They try to do that. They try to bump them to try and get the hitch to work. He doesn't know it's got positive pressure. So he needs to actually hold the button, crowd his hitch, and that will then release it. He thinks bashing the fuck out of it is going to get the bucket off.
So it's not something stuck in it?
No, it's him.
Oh my god.